Hey you guys, it's Peter and welcome to my channel, Peter Likes Books. Okay, so we just finished, or I just finished, and maybe, I don't know, 4 other people over here, just finished reading The 31st Trick-or-Treater, which if you watch my videos from last month, I announced that I was doing this Halloween advent calendar countdown book to Halloween. So I just finished that on the 31st. I just finished The 31st Trick-or-Treater on Halloween. I found out who the 31st trick-or-treater was. I found out everything that happens, and it tied up like a sweet little sticky bow. Anyway, tomorrow I will be doing my review and my reaction to the 31st Trick-or-Treater. But before I do that, I wanted to announce an advent calendar book that I found for November. Because I just wanted to announce it to see if anybody else wanted to read it along with me. Like, I love these advent calendar books. Okay, so let me tell you the story about these advent calendar books. First of all, when I was growing up as a kid, my mom and my aunt had these like homemade advent calendars where like it had this big Christmas tree on it. We hung it in the kitchen. It was probably like 2.5 feet by 2.5 feet. And then it was like, it would hang off the end of our island. And then every day you like got to put a different ornament on the tree. It was just the coolest thing. My cousin Caroline has one and I have one. And each of our ornaments are like specific to things that we had when we were little kids. So I grew up loving advent calendars. I love the candy advent calendars. I love the beauty supply advent calendars. I just love counting down to Christmas. I love that. And over on my review channel, I have reviewed quite a few advent calendars through the years. I love to buy advent calendars and review them. I've done dog treat advent calendars. Don't say anything. Walter and Otis will hear it. I think I'm going to do it again this year. I have reviewed so many different advent calendars, and so I love it. So last year, I'm part of all of these like thriller, psychological book clubs, or whatever you want to call them, groups on Facebook. And people were talking about this book that had come out called 25 Days by Per Jacobson. And so I was like, I think I'm going to get this book. And so I talked to my friend Nikki, and she was like, yeah, I'll read it along with you. So I actually got the physical copy book, but it was available on Kindle Unlimited as well. And so I got the book, and she and I read it together. We read, I think, 2 different advent calendar books last year. And so I had so much fun with it. And if you've watched my channel over here for a while, or if you've watched my daily vlog that I vlog on, Peter Vlogs, it really got me back into physical copy reading because I was primarily just listening to audiobooks at that point. And that kind of got me back in, because every night I would read a chapter. Well, then I picked up a Christmas book here, Christmas book there, and before the end of the holidays, I was reading like 5 physical copy books, and then I picked up a James Patterson, and it just really got me back into physical copy reading. So I'm really, really thankful for that book. People ask me all the time, like, what's a good way to get back into reading again? I think an advent calendar book is a great way to get back into reading again because you only have to read a chapter a day. And typically, like the 31st Trick-or-Treater, some of the chapters were kind of long. I think it ended up being like 400 pages total, but some of the chapters were kind of long. But the Per Jacobson book last year was pretty short. Most of the chapters, I would say, were like 7 to 8 pages. So you're talking 10 minutes out of your day. And it was really, really fun. Now, I know that some people just read them straight through. They're like, I got to find out what's going on. So they read them straight through, which is totally fine. But I like to read a chapter a day because then just like, for me, it was like my time to sit down and read for like an hour or 2 every day. So I would start with that, and then I would go into my other books. So I have fallen in love with this whole idea of the advent calendar books. But I like the thrillers. I like the thrillers. And so Nikki and I are putting together this Christmas read-along that I'm going to be announcing this month over here. And so I've been constantly looking, and so is she, for new Christmas thriller advent calendar books, like the 25 Days from last year. I honestly, like last year his book was like the first big one that everybody talked about. So I honestly thought that this year there'd be like 10 that were being released, or 20. I thought like everybody would do it. In fact, I even was like, I should write an advent calendar thriller book because they're not like fantastically written, but the story anyway, I love the idea of it. And so I thought this year there'd be like 10 or 20 that would come out. And there really aren't that many that are coming out. I think there's like maybe like 3 romances, and there's like 3 or 4 Christmas thrillers, and so I will be reading all of those and announcing all of those during this month, so you can get fully prepared by December 1st if you want to partake. But anyway, so I was kind of sad, to be honest with you, because the 31st Trick-or-Treater ended. Like I said, I will do my review and reaction tomorrow. No, it was not the greatest book in the entire world. It wasn't great at all, but it was fun. It was fun to read like a chapter every night, you know? And so I was kind of sad because it ended, and I was like, okay, well, I can get caught up on my other books now, but like I want I want it to be December 1st so I can be reading an advent calendar book. So I just happened to be scrolling around. I think it's the psychological thriller book group on Facebook. They have like millions of followers, and they post constantly over there. They actually, what they mostly post about is Frida McFadden. They're like, what's the best 10 out of 10 book that you've ever read? And people just, Frida McFadden. It's like kind of like a Frida McFadden fan group. But I actually, like, a lot of people put on there, like, what's a book like Frida McFadden? And that's kind of how I get a lot of ideas for books to read and stuff. So I love that group because I've gotten a lot of ideas for different books. Well, the other day, somebody posted something to the effect of, I'm looking for this advent calendar book, but it's not the 25 days one. And I was like, what advent calendar book? Because I know the ones that are coming out because I've already screenshot them. I've got them together for my video to do the announcement. So I was like, it didn't sound like anything that I had seen. And so I was like reading through the comments, and I actually did find like one or two that I was not aware of that are coming out for Christmas. But somebody announced this book for November, and I was like, I've seen this book before, because I was looking up like holiday books that were free on Kindle Unlimited, and I was like, I've seen this book before. But it's about Thanksgiving. I'm not a big Thanksgiving person. I know a lot of people don't celebrate Thanksgiving, and so I was like, when I saw it come up, I didn't know it was an advent calendar book when I saw it originally. And so I was like, I don't think I'm about all this. Plus, the guy had written like 5 books, and all of the books were kind of titled the same thing. And so I was like, and they were like supernatural and paranormal. That's not typically what I read, especially after the 31st trick-or-treater. So I was like, I'm not really sure I'm really into this. But then I looked at it, and it was an advent calendar book. And so I was like, okay, this will carry me over until Christmas. And listen, any book that you have to like count down, read a chapter a day. I can remember, like, I did this long before there were advent calendar books. I can remember reading, what was the book by, oh gosh, why can't I think of his name now? Gabriel Garcia Marquez, the 100 years, 1,000 years, like whatever that book is, but anywhere of solitude. I can remember like wanting to read it in a month and like calculating how many pages a day I had to read, because I wanted to read it, but it was like such a slow read. So I like the idea of like cutting a book down into a month, you know? And so I looked at the book, and I was like, it's free on Kindle Unlimited, and I was like, I'm just going to read this book. And so when I read the intro, I actually, or the preface to it that he writes himself, the author. So the book is, I Bought a Haunted Thanksgiving Table, and it is by Sam Whitaker. Now, Sam Whitaker has written several paranormal books. Some of the other books are, I Killed a Werewolf for Summer Vacation, I Killed a Vampire for My Christmas Break, I Killed a Witch for My Senior Project, I Bought a Haunted Church, I Bought a Haunted Summer. And he kind of references those other books in his intro. And in there he talks about how Per Jacobson had come out with 25 Days, and so he didn't want to do a Christmas advent calendar book, and that the 31st Trick-or-Treater was about Halloween, and he didn't want to do a Halloween book, but he wanted to do an advent calendar book. And I kind of was like, oh, I love his honesty about this. You know, like, I love the honesty about this. And so I was like, I think I'm going to read this book. I think I'm going to read it and just try it. And he actually says in the intro that it's meant to be read a chapter a day, and that if you're not reading it in 2025, then it won't make sense, because Thanksgiving is a moving holiday. So I was like, okay, like, I'm not the biggest person into Thanksgiving, but, you know, whatever. This will be like a November advent calendar book, so it'll be kind of fun. So I thought, I wasn't even going to make a video about it. I was just going to talk about it on my vlog. And I thought, no, there are probably some people out there that might want to read this along with me. So I thought, you know what? I'm going to announce it over here. If you want to read it with me, you can. Like I said, it's free on Kindle Unlimited right now. I actually am completely caught up. I've read both of the first 2 chapters. Today, what is today? Today's the 3rd, right? Yeah, I've read both of the first 2 chapters. It's not bad. And I think it's interesting enough that it's keeping me wanting to keep reading it. So I will say that. But I'm only, like I said, 2 days into it. So if you read the 31st Trick-or-Treater, unlike 25 Days by Per Jacobson, that one, like, if December 1st is a Monday, it doesn't happen on a Monday. The 31st Tricker was specific to 2025. So, like, a Monday in October this year would be a Monday in the chapter. And so this one goes along with that. So, like, when you're reading the 2nd of November is actually a Sunday in this book, which I like it, because it's kind of like, you feel like you're reading a book, like, in real time, you know? So, the book came out October 14th of 2025. It's 184 pages. It's very, very short. I think it took me, like, maybe 5 or 6 minutes to read a chapter. And so here's a synopsis for it. He'll be thankful to live through the holidays. Scott's bubbly influencer wife aims for the perfect Thanksgiving content. And the centerpiece is their new antique table, which he isn't crazy about. And who can blame him? It's big, it's heavy, and it holds dark secrets. Soon, strange events surround his wife at all hours of the day and night. And who does she whisper to in the dark? If he can't help his wife, they will have to worry about more than a dry bird or burnt pies, for a murderous ghost has awakened in their midst, bent on filling his plate with agony and bloodshed. Can Scott find a way to stop the bloodthirsty specter before it claims his wife and their holiday dinner guests as a final course? I Bought a Haunted Thanksgiving Table is an advent calendar style read-along with 27 chapters for 27 days of the holiday season. Dig into the feast of horror now before your plate gets cold. And so, like I said, I've read the first 2 chapters. I will say this. It kind of gets into it right away. I mean, like, there's murder and misery right away in it. And you kind of know, like, when you're reading the first couple paragraphs that there's something spooky. So what it's about is this couple. And she is, like I said, I've only read 2 chapters, so I can't ruin it for you. She's like a influencer, like, Instagrammer. She does, like, she's written books apparently too, but she does, like, takes pictures of, like, centerpieces and, like, holiday themed stuff and whatever. And so they're, like, at a thrift store or something, and they see this huge table, and she's like, this table would be perfect for Thanksgiving. The owner of the shop, like, wants to get rid of this table. Like, there's something spooky about this table. And the husband doesn't really want to buy it because it's kind of expensive and it's super heavy, but she's like, she has to have it because it's, like, perfect for her, like, for all of her stuff, right? So she has to have it. So anyway, so they get the table, and then weird stuff starts happening. And it starts happening right away. Like, I mean, in chapter 2, weird stuff starts happening. Like, scary stuff starts happening in chapter 2. So anyway, I just wanted to let you guys know that I was going to read this in case any of you wanted to read along with me if you're looking for another book to count down through the month. Like I said, in about 2 weeks, I will be announcing the books that Nikki and I are going to be reading, or we're going to be doing for the Christmas read-along. I think we're going to pick, like, I think I'm going to announce all the Advent calendar books. We're going to do like 4 or 5 of the Advent calendar books. People can pick and choose what they want to do. Like, if you do the read-along, you don't have to do all the books, obviously. And then I think she and I are each going to pick like 1 or 2 thrillers in addition to that. Because I was like, you know, some people just read 1 book a month, so let's not, like, overload people. And then people can just kind of pick and choose what they want to read. So I'm really, really excited about that. I'm really excited about reading some Christmas thrillers. We also have some Christmas romance advent calendars in there as well, so I'm excited about that. Anyway, let me know if you're going to read along with me for this month. I love you guys, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.